Welcome back, my friends. This is Karthik Nagarajan, your technology buddy. Today, I would want us to discuss about the no code, zero code, wipe code platform. There are a lot of terminologies through which people call that these platforms in the market. And now, when we look at the the topics what we have to discuss, I wouldn't want to take a lot of your time because I just would want to brush up and give you what I'm looking at, why I did this video, and it has to be very informative and it should make you think about the future in a different way. Why do we use no code or whiteboard platform? You don't have to look for a designer, you don't have to look for a developer to come and sit with you where you explain all what you are expecting from them. All these comes from your experience and your knowledge and your journey all these years. It doesn't matter for the developer or the designer. For them, it is just for them to deliver what you are expecting. So at any point in time, you will not be able to 100% transfer the knowledge, experience, and all what you need, expectations, to the designer or the developer for them to now build the whole app. Now, what an app? There is a front end, then there is a back end. you know the latest technologies have allowed us to now come up with the backend as per the requirements purely on APIs. Behind APIs, there is a process engine. Behind the process engine, there is a database. So, database, process engine, and then the front end are all linked through an API. Okay, let's speak about process engine, the backend. Backend is API, process, database. Done. Keep it as aside as a package, because any developers, when they are given a proper requirement document, they will be able to create all those APIs. So now what are we looking at? What we are looking at is just the design, because the design speaks with the users. The users would want to understand what the app is all about only through the design, the front end. The front end is the heart of what you are expecting, what you are trying to launch, what you are trying to solve, what you are trying to convey to the users. So users need to see what we call the front end. Now that front end very easily nowadays through what we call these zero code, no code, white code platforms, whatever the terminology you can call them with. Now there are a lot of vibe coding platforms in the market. I would want to just give one thing. These vibe coding platforms, my experience has been, because what I do nowadays most of the time, because I used to develop a lot of HTML, React frameworks and do the designs, because I will not be in a position to explain everything to my team members, because they need to understand what I am thinking about. They need to visualize. For them to visualize, the PPTs and the designs and the presentations have gone. Even Figmas. For a Figma developer, for you to now sit and design the whole application, for you to now explain, that takes years. That takes a lot of time. So forget about all those UI designs and then presentations. Then now coming up with flowcharts. All these flowcharts and all those things are now used for the backend developers. Now, when we look at what a developer has to understand, a front-end developer has to understand, it comes from them, how they visualize it. For them to visualize it, I have to be very clear to them. For me to be clear to them, why can't I just develop the visualization in an app front end itself? That is vibe coding. Yeah. So there are a lot of applications in the market. Let us not discuss a lot of them, because all of them, they consume credits. They now make you spend a lot of time. You cannot think about a design today and then when you go back home, you think about a different aspect. Now bring in that concept. Now add on and add on and add on, and finally come up with a completely visualized design for you to now share it with your users, developers and things. It is not possible today. Yeah, because as and when you think and as and when you type something in a white coding platform, it consumes money. Whatever is out there are all being, expensive. So, being expensive, how will those platforms solve your issue? So, let me just give you a brief picture of what these vibe coding platforms does technically, because I would want the video to be also useful for the executives, team leaders, project managers, whoever is willing to now design and develop and launch an application. I want this to be an informative video for all of them. Plus, I also want the coding, the programmers, whoever is building the backend engine, to also understand what they are developing and what is that this era is going towards. This era is going towards AI based no code platforms. Yeah. Let's discuss about it. You see, first you ask the platform what you need to build. You can say simply, I need to build a finance dashboard. Now, when you say finance dashboard, then the next thing comes is that application builds a plan, because there is a reasoning model. There is a reasoning model which they use to build the design plan, the plan. Now, the plan is taken as a blueprint. Now, the blueprint is now converted into routes and menus, and now you see again there is a list of pre-built blocks which usually all these AI coding platform has built internally. So when we speak about what are they can be, all those building blocks like the bricks for building a house. Imagine that way. The menus, the cards, the models, the forms, all these are pre-built. So all the widgets, let's put it this way, icons, whatever it is, are React applications, possible widgets. All these are the building blocks of the front end application. So these widgets, what we call as widgets, are all being built as building blocks. Now these blocks are ready made. So what happens with the blueprint? Now again going back to the AI model, they question. Now, when we look at the AI model, how it is questioned and what, I've already discussed in my previous video. So that generates the codes. Now you see, you have the blueprint right now. Beyond the blueprint, the next thing what we have seen is they have pre-built blocks. Now using the pre-built blocks and the blueprint, the actual code routes are created, and the routes are now built where there are integration of the built blocks, already built building blocks, the widgets, and then the integrations. Now integrations are made dummy usually, but if the integration is a predefined integration in the AI vibe coding platform, then they now integrate, for which they now ask you, should we integrate to Firebase or Supabase database, or they have to now integrate to let's say GitHub, they have to integrate to, all those integrations. They ask you what are all the integrations that you need. You can just click it for it to now integrate and then attach it to those codes brought in from the AI model. So now you see, you have given the input, there is a plan created, which is a blueprint. The blueprint is converted into routes and routes codes, and then each code is now arranged in a properly organized data store. That is, let's say, the repository. Now, the repository is run by a backend engine, what we can speak about an execution sandbox. Let's say the execution sandbox is run at the backend. Now, when the execution sandbox is run, it checks if the application is able to run. Then if there are errors, if there are any breaks in the application, then it now again reasons through the reasoning model, the AI models, for it to now ask for all these. But now the thing is, all the changes are not done at the code level. Changes are done at the blueprint, and the blueprint, since it is all linked to the code, the blueprint and the code is again and again re-looped within the AI models for the new code to be brought in and then added into. So every time the application rebuilds, every time the application rebuilds the whole application. There are only few AI vibe coding platforms that does the amendments through the blueprint in the code alone. Let's say there are two set of application AI vibe coding platform. One, they rebuild up again and again. The other one, they now go back and just change what is required, but what is required from the blueprint, not at the code level. But imagine both is going to be almost similar in expense. So all these are the background, what is happening. Then the execution sandbox. Now execution sandbox checks everything, and then when it is able to run the application, there is a preview section that now is displayed with the application actually executed through the execution sandbox. So now this is the whole architecture. There are a lot of free tools. Let me give you the tip. Go to Google AI Studio, where you can create as many front ends as possible. Then you go to Google AI Studio. You now ask for whatever applications you need. So Google it, Google AI Studio. Then when you open the AI Studio, it now has the section for you to build apps. Now build apps. You find an AI vibe coding front end appears, where you can type chat for it to send, then click build. then it builds. You can use the free version, free models. You don't have to choose the model. You can choose the free models. But when you build it, the issue what I usually face in Google AI Studio is at some stage it loses all what you have built. It changes everything or it drops everything. So you can still ask for it through the same chat window. Ask that whatever I built ABCD has gone, so check and relink it, then it will link it. There is a full screen option. You click the full screen option. When you go into the full screen option, it opens it in a full screen. Then you now record a video. Simply record a video of what is the application all about and then explain what you need in that. Then now push it to your developers, because you would have already given a backend development documentation for the developer to build the whole backend through APIs. Now you have given this front-end application in a video for the developers to now look through and understand and visualize what you're expecting, and then give them added documents. This makes your project very fast and it allows you to implement the project very fast, because the AI vibe coding platforms never understands your theme, your mindset, your journey and your business rules, mainly simply speaking business rules. So develop the front end, do it for free, share it with your developers, let them build the backend and those APIs can be integrated. Now comes the major issue, backend. Backend is where the strength of a real developer comes in. Once the backend is end-to-end developed end-to-end, and if that backend is now created with all the APIs, it can easily be integrated to the front end. So you will have an isolated front end and backend separately being developed, a very good architecture which will not allow people to hack immediately your application. At the same time, you have made it that you built and launched your experience, your expectation, your visualized, your possible outcome, expected up. It's not someone's design, no, it's you. And this is what the essence of this video all about. Thank you friends, thanks a lot for all your support, all your MVPs. Make it ready, because I'm also building for past 7 years a very serious AI coding platform. I wouldn't say vibe coding, it's an AI coding platform, because the platform what I'm building has all the building blocks of an enterprise application, from the backend engine, process, integration, data sources, data management, MIS, everything put together. Everything has been developed in my platform for almost past 7 years. And I'm also working with a lot of models. I'm also investing a lot of my time researching, and then my team is building it very seriously. So that is the one that made me to come up with all these researches, and I felt maybe this is very important for me to share with you all, because if you all have just a Google account, that is enough. Go to Google AI Studio, create it. And this is not a promotional video. This is out of my experience. I felt that is much better, much easier for you to spend your free time to build what you need, and then you just can look for someone later. Yeah, but look for the right developer who would understand what you are thinking about and what your journey was, what your experience is, what the target audiences are, how should they be convinced with the application, how convenient the application front end should be, process should be, and everything. So don't look for a developer who just takes your requirement and just develops, says like I develop. No, a developer should understand the journeys. So the developer should have been in your shoes in many of your agendas. Thank you my friends. Thanks a lot. See you in our next video. Thanks for all your precious time. Cheers. Bye.